Hello, my name is John Teply, and I have the great pleasure to be talking to artist Andrew Purchin. I first met him many years ago, and at the time he was mostly a plein air painter. And since that time, he's doing some very interesting conceptual work and collaborative work, and it's very exciting creative stuff that you're doing. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing great, thank you. Yeah.
Now, are you in Santa Cruz?
Yeah, I'm in Santa Cruz. This is my art studio here in Santa Cruz.
Very
my
nice.
home art studio. Yeah.
So I always loved your paintings. You know, the paintings that you did for the Seventh Generation Project, you know, they're well observed, and it seems like you're always trying to put some kind of energy into the landscape. You know, like it seems like with your brushstrokes and mostly brushstrokes, you're trying to explore something there that you're feeling. Could you talk about your painting experience?
Sure. I mean, I usually answer the question, when did you begin to paint, with when I started playing with food. Really, I just push the colors around, you know, right?
Yeah.
And it's been described that, you know, kind of like for me, mark making is really important, and pushing it and staying embodied to how I'm feeling in the moment, responding to the subject matter, be it the landscape, people in the landscape, the movement of water, the movement of the people at the Republican and Democratic National Conventions in 2016 and 2012. And so, I mean, I bring the plein air experience to on-site work in many different contexts, be they super joyful or political or weird or grief, you know, times of grief and trauma.
So what I'd like to do, when I view your work, I see two kinds of creative avenues that you take. One is painting on a surface, and the other is project work and more conceptual. So what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about just your painting practice, right, and then we'll talk about your projects. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay. You're mostly plein air. You take your canvas and you work on site. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. And so, but just to even say that during COVID, on site means I'm on Zoom. So, I mean, I could be painting or drawing you right now. And so even during, you know, my psychotherapy practice, when the context is right, I am painting and drawing and keeping embodied and being present in my listening. So on site could be anywhere.
So it's expanded to electronic.
Yeah. Even though I'm being analog in my experience. Yeah. You know, right now I've just had a ballpoint pen, and I'm just kind of here, and I'm letting myself be embodied, and I'm feeling into your ears and your eyes. And
are you drawing right now?
Of course I am. You know, but it'll look like it's a scribble. You know, I'm making sure to stay focused here. You know. Yeah.
Very cool. So you're set up, and you're going to paint something, and you're looking at the blank canvas. Could you tell me some of your first thoughts?
Fun, great, exciting. Because for me, you know, the blank canvas means I have this spaciousness and the love of if it's a white canvas, the love of the way the paint can touch that surface, and the way transparency the brightness of the white can come through, and the delight of that first beginning. And for me, it's all about mark making and color, that really primary school, you know, preschool, that just joy.
Sure.
You know, why not start with love? You know, why start with accuracy, or like something I need to get it right so people like me? You know, yeah. So it starts there. And so if I'm looking out at a subject matter, I'm seeing the color and delight, and I'm just reflecting back over here with with the paint. And, my palette is generally, I do lay out a number of colors that, that are there to be, oil color, so that you've got your complementary palette, so that mystery can happen, mistakes can happen, colors can mix together in all kinds of ways.
So,
Yeah.
so the landscape or whatever it is important, but it's not the most important act of painting. There's another, there's an internal quality that's important.
There's the field between me and the landscape. So if you are the landscape, the screen, there's that field, that relational field. And I'm entering that relationship, the relational field with the grasses, with the mountains, with the water, with the birds, whatever's there. And so for me, I'm interested in that relational field. And I want my paintings to be full of life and full of movement.
And they are.
Yeah.
Now, do you have, so looking at your paintings, it generally seems like you don't use a wide variety of brushes. Is that fair to say? Like I don't see like 2-inch strokes. Mostly they're smaller brushes.
Yeah, I would say that they're between an inch and something very tiny, and really that I don't feel is like really, when I think about it, particularly with bigger works, I like the idea of using 2-inch brushes, and I think that's a great idea in general. I think if I would want to take my work up a notch, I think it would be to David Park it more, to have those big brush strokes like David Park does. And what I want is I want a diversity of expression on the canvas, and I want to go for what's alive. The canvas is a theater, it's a dance floor. So if this enters here from the trees, how does the water interact with it down here? Right. And so we're in a dance, or a jazz quartet or something like that. So I'm interacting here, and I do paint with 2 hands at times. Depending what medium I'm doing. Certainly water medium, almost always with 2 hands, where I have a water brush and I have another brush creating life into it. Always, not often with 2 hands. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the idea. But the idea is that we have that dance is also very important to me, and how things interact, and what is, who's speaking, and how's the sunshine speaking through the trees, and how the trees feeling towards that sunshine, and how are they feeling towards me over here in the shade. And, just the sense of, this is a living being that I'm interacting with. I don't want to kill it by being too like, oh, this is what it is, over naming it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Could you talk about one of your paintings? Like there's a nice one right behind you. It looks
Sure.
like 2.5 square.
Yeah. So that is, I think it's a 30 by 30, and this is probably the 4th or 5th layer on it. The first layer, I mean, I just touched it again after 7 years, maybe something like that. Right. So I don't quite remember all that's underneath it. The first layer has some acrylic on there. It's done on a dance floor. It's dancers. I think I brought it to a dance floor with acrylic, and I brought it to a dance floor with oils on top of that. And then
Okay, whoa! Don't pass that up so quickly. So
okay,
you brought it to a dance floor,
yes.
So there's this room, and there's people dancing, and
Right.
you're dancing too. But
Right.
now, are you literally dancing as you're painting, or?
The hands are dancing, my body might too if there's some music, but I'm watching things. I'm trying to get little keys of things, like little,
Sure.
like just key gestures in there, less of the forms of the bodies, or just enough of the form of the body so that you get a sense of it. And then within it, what's that field between the bodies? So it is landscapal in that way. This I went back out and plein air painted with my friend Shane Hill. And he's there in the corner there. I don't know if you can see the figure.
Oh, I can see him. He's wearing a white painter's jacket.
Yeah. And So and this is not a completed work. But anyway, yes, I went back out to the Upper Wilder Ranch area here. And
so on this particular painting, there's this contrast between dark and light, and There's a lot of like expressive brush strokes. It seems like the strokes are almost climbing on each other.
Mhm.
Um, could you talk about the experience of painting this a bit, and what, if you don't mind touching on the dark and light, because I noticed that with your other painting that you seem to uh, have dramatic value,
Yeah, right.
at least in these paintings.
Yeah.
And the it's almost like a calligraphy,
Yes.
your painting stroke.
Right. I've been working on that for all these years, decades, about how to be in an authentic brushstroke. An authentic brushstroke is one that is as authentic as the movement of water. There's nothing lying about the movement of water if we're just watching it. There's nothing lying about, it's not self-conscious. And I don't succeed all the time, but occasionally I do. And so that's what I want with my brushstroke, because I want the calligraphy, I want the feel of it, the inner language, to be honest to what's happening in my body and the fields around there. And the dark and the light, dark and light are really key to me very much. As I'm looking at that, I'm feeling into our political landscape at the same time. I don't know if this was just a couple of weeks ago. I was out there. I don't know if I was thinking about Ukraine or what in terms of the dark. There's gorgeous dark shadows there that I was witnessing, and I was just kind of bringing them out. There's the figures a little bit left from the dance from before. There are people walking their dogs or bikers coming through too fast for me to really grip them. But I put just little tiny bits of them in there as we're just kind of trying to hold on to this moment and negotiate this particular difficult moment in history with everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The big list, all that is going through me, and the power of the artist, the power of the one there to be able to just take this moment and breathe and observe, however we do that, and the importance of that. And I felt like I needed to bring my friend in there, just for a focal point, for a way to, like, how we're facing into these times, and both the beauty and the terror of it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that painting is successful in that way. I mean, because like the dark area seems like a place of vulnerability. Actually, it's not a safe place, and I can, looking at the painting. I would want to get over to the light area.
Yes. Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I'm deciding now, because that yellow it's really acrylic yellow, and those red lines off to the right. It is quite different than the rest of the painting. And I'm probably going to hold on to that, not oil paint that out, to let that be its place. I might do something to balance it somewhere in the foreground or something like that. I haven't figured it out. I'll probably go back out one more time there to do a play, but there is something about what is this space, what is on the horizon. We're in our English language goes from left to right, and so for that's our future.
Yeah, no, I actually like that verse. It's like firework,
Yeah.
just
Right.
just, boom.
Yeah.
So just now, talking about your painting, you were using psychological terms. Is that often how you approach your painting, or is that sometimes how you approach it? Or
I think often for me, I am a psychotherapist. I am always in therapy myself, and just feeling states are really important to me. The honesty of meeting that which inside is laughing or crying or scared to death. I think that's a beautiful thing, and it's very comforting to speak the language, to listen to the language inside and the language outside as I feel it into the surface of humanity. I think it's important that we be heard, and that it's a balm. And for me, connection and listening is is the opposite of addiction, is the opposite of intoxication. It's sober. We can be totally high and we could be
Yeah.
listening in a way that's creative. And when my newer project, What's Home, is I hang out with people who are unhoused, and a lot of people who I'm loaded on my cell phone and they might be loaded on something else. But we have these moments of sobriety as we connect and listen to each other. And so it's that honest emotional realness to be painting in a place where people might feel on edge.
So I'm seeing painting as, oops. There's my Italian gene doing my hands. I just knocked my computer.
Perfect.
So I'm looking at some things that you've said on your website. There's this one quote where you talk about pilgrimages when I'm a plein air painter, the prophet or the fool in the midst of some devotion.
Yeah.
So could you talk about what it means to be the prophet, what it means to be the fool, and what it means to be in a state of devotion?
Yeah. Well, I think the state of devotion I've been describing, which is this devotion to creativity and painting and meeting and spiritual and emotional connection with all beings. Yeah, so that's devotion. Now, this language I use in the prophet or the fool, that nature of speaking truth to power, speaking, seeing maybe the greater whole, and maybe feeling very alone in that. That nature of the prophet's journey, the risk taking that it takes to say, and I think that you do this too, really, with the Seventh Generation Project. I think that there's, with this big vision of the whole of the West Coast of the United States, right, covered. That's a prophetic kind of thing, right? And it takes boldness. And there's this part of me, in my own, like, I had this idea to bring 1,000 artists to make work at President Obama's second inauguration. Actually, that was before we knew who was president. I brought 100 artists to do that in white hats and orange jumpsuits that said the making of art is the ultimate democracy. But anyway, it's like this prophetic, it's not prophetic to say, to make a statement like that might be. And to make a statement like, hey, society, like, what the F are we doing here? We are creative beings, and what are we doing to each other? How are we cutting each other off? There is a tremendous amount of flow and gifts. Humanity is beautiful, and we have so much to offer, and yet we cut off the creative process right and left. And so the making of art should be more popular than shopping, and as popular as sports. And we're backwards, to really bringing the whole of humanity out. So those are kind of prophetic kind of statements. And with that, you can feel kind of foolish as society, or the imagined society, bounces back, or just I have a million stories, or just put you in the court. Oh, never mind, he's just an artist. I've heard, as if I'm not a threat, which is the biggest insult to me. So yeah. So I don't know if that makes sense on the prophetic and the fool.
Yeah, no, it does. I've been involved with projects where people go, well, you're already preaching to the converted, or something like that, as if to dismiss it.
Right.
But one of the worst things is to feel strongly about something and feel like you're the only one, because it's just demoralizing, and it doesn't help your cause, doesn't help yourself. But to know that there's other people that share with you, that's amazing.
Right. Well, then we kind of just say the artist as prophet, the art making, because we are in a minority. And so all of us together that way. The individual prophet thing can be a helpful delusion against the loneliness about being rejected, potentially rejected, right? And that, to take that story as a way to have momentum, it's okay. I'm going to put this out in the world, and however the world responds, well, that's how they respond. But I know in my heart of hearts where I need to go, and what I need to paint and bring out into the world.
Well, let's talk. Well, there's two projects that I'd like to talk about, and maybe there's one that you would prefer to talk about.
Okay.
But I'm interested in hearing you talk about Sapiens.
Okay.
And What's Home.
Okay. Well, just to say that they're both huge projects, and that Sapiens is right now on my back burner because I can only do one at a time. But I'm now going to describe so Sapiens. Okay. What would happen if our trash came alive? Just it comes alive.
That's a great premise.
Who would we be to the trash? Well, who creates trash? Us. We're gods. Everybody, don't worry. We're creators, right? So that's the theme of Sapiens, right? So Sapiens worship us, and along the way, Sapiens begin to learn that they're gods. They're killing themselves and the planet, and then Sapiens will have no one to worship, which is a horrible place to be as a worshiper. So Sapiens, so the trash gods, so the trash creatures are trying to convince us and show us, wake up, you're fucking up, gods. Well, you have to take care of the planet, right?
And what I love about that is the project creates opportunities for artists. It's not just a visual artist, but you're bringing a theater folk in, performers,
right?
So that there's this a thing that you've created, an opportunity that people can be part of, which I think is just an amazing thing to do, as a creator.
Yes. Yeah, I love bringing people on board, and really it brings average people on board, because the reality TV show Big Vision is that across every dump in America, that these puppet creatures are coming out, and they're getting embedded in people's homes, and people get to see how their trash can come alive and play, and you get like average people playing and all this kind of with these wacky puppeteers, and I'm totally in love with that project and can't wait to get back.
And what I like about it is you don't need like a Masters of Fine Art to be part of the club. You can all you need to do is just be a creative person interested and want to have some fun. And in fact, it doesn't even need to be that serious. At least that's my take on it.
No.
Because you could be sitting around at a picnic with your trash, and all of a sudden you can have a puppet show.
Yes. Yeah, well, they're coming alive. Yeah, they're totally alive. Yeah, I mean, the puppets are really simple. I wonder what I have in the studio. I didn't think to bring out that. I don't know if I have anything fast. Well, let me just bring a little something. I can't hurt myself, so. Yeah, well, I'll move the camera so that we can see it down there. It lost its eyeball there. And let's see here. Yeah. If you can see the little scale there.
Yeah. Well, let me interview the puppet there, Andrew. Does the puppet have a name?
Just ask it what its name is, please.
Hello, stranger. I don't think I've met you before. Oh, you lost your eye. What's your name?
Dude, I'm always losing my eye. It always falls out. I am the music of your life.
Oh, beautiful. I mean, you're very handsome there.
Oh, thank you. It's really good to meet you. I can see you really well through this kind of vision here.
And looking at that, it makes me sad, because there's all those beautiful materials that were thrown away.
Right. Yeah. Well, this became me through here. Some of these materials that we threw away. And I just hope that people can keep making more of me around here, because you guys are gonna die, you fools.
Yeah. So, and then you have the other project, What's Home?
What's Home? Yeah, yeah. So What's Home is a multidimensional project. I'm gonna see if we can share screens now, and I'm gonna try to find my Instagram. So
Okay.
if you can oh gosh, and there's Instagram, and I'm gonna go to some slides. Can you see the screen now?
No.
Oh, oh, I have to do share screen. I see, got it. I forgot that I have a role with this. That's my
Yeah.
role. Yeah. Okay, now do you see the screen? Do you see it now?
Nope, not yet.
Well, we might give up on this die. Oh, okay. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do share. Share. Okay, now do you see the screen?
Yeah, yeah.
Congratulations, I did it.
Congratulations,
Okay.
you did it.
All right. So here, this is my artistic research for What's Home. And so I have this sign, hi, my name is Andrew. I stand for seeing the inherent good and dignity in me, you, and all beings. What do you stand for? So I'm out there painting and having conversations with people. And so What's Home is a project that will bring 10 artists from all disciplines. So imagine a singer-songwriter, imagine dancers, imagine a classical contemporary composer, an 81-year-old playwright, a hip hop artist, someone who does mixed media crochet, someone who does documentary photo and printmaking and interviews people. Each of them individually will meet a house person, and they will interview the house person, and they will also meet an unhoused person, and they will interview the unhoused person, and they will interview them on asking three questions. One question is, what's home to you? Another question is, what do you care about most for yourself and all beings? That can be asked in many detailed ways, but just the general gist of it.
Sure.
And the most important one, I think, is how that person asks those questions. A musician's is going to say, what does your home sound like? What's homey to you? What's the sound of home to you? A dancer is going to go into gestures and stuff like, can you show me some of your stuff? And what do you love most about what you have? To the person maybe in a tent and the person in a fancy house. So, creators, we have this way of bringing this play into the conversation that could be pretty heavy. So each artist will separately interview the people, begin to work on their piece. So the singer-songwriter will begin to make the song. And on what'shome.org, you can see a little sample of that. There's a 9-minute video of a singer-songwriter doing this interview process. And then we bring everybody together to review the artwork and have conversations across this gulf. The idea of the project is to understand we are one, that we are all part of the solution and part of the problem, that we are neighbors. And if somebody has lived here for a day and they're from Silicon Valley and really rich, somebody has lived here for a day and they're just come through town, here we are. It doesn't matter. Some people have been here 30 years and unhoused, whatever, and housed 30 years. We're here, and all of us have something to offer. And a question that I ask is, what are some of the resources that unhoused people have to share with those of us who are housed? And what are some of the resources that those of us who are housed get to share with the unhoused? Because there's resource there, even if people are sometimes coming from, whether they're housed or unhoused, coming from histories of abuse and neglect and coping mechanisms that include substance use and addiction, or addiction to phones, addiction to power, addiction to things. All of us are here in the mass. And so imagine, these 10 different artists approaching people in different ways. We're pairing people up kind of in a full spectrum approach, so that we can have this kind of mix of people. We can have real estate agents and mortgage brokers and developers. We can have students, all different kinds of house people, and then all different kinds of unhoused people. There are unhoused people who work 2 jobs. There are unhoused people who have kids. There are unhoused people who can barely speak a word. I mean, we have a range. Some live in tents, some lives in cars, some live in couch. So we're getting the full spectrum, and it's the juxtapositions, I think, that are very interesting, and how the artist engages with those juxtapositions.
Boy, that's a really important project. Very, very complicated, as things should be, because it's not simple, and it deserves to be, the topic, if we're going to address it. If you're going to make art about it, it needs to involve putting yourself out there and complexity, and congratulations. It's a really nice project.
Yeah, I want to just name one other thing, is that we're making 10 short documentaries. So each team will have a short documentary made, so we can get all these stories told, and that'll be on, eventually there'll be a new What's Home website, and all this will be available. And there'll also be a performance festival, performance and screenings here in town, and all that kind of stuff going on. And all this will be done in the next year. So got a nice busy year. Yeah.
Yeah, I look forward to it, and and thank you for putting this together. Well, sure. I've been talking to Andrew Purchin, and thank you, Andrew, for the interview. You're doing amazing work, and I look forward to participating in some of your projects, and just see what happens. And for those that are listening to the interview, you can see 2 of Andrew Purchin's painting at the Lincoln City Cultural Center. This be between July 12th through the 17th. So come join us. Wonderful. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.